Hi, good morning. Today is June 21st, 2025, and it's 7:11 a.m. Central Time. My name is Rinaldo Aguiar, and this video is part of the series that I've titled Bring Diosdado to Justice, Bring Diosdado to the U.S. And the goal here is to document in video instances that I believe carry a lot of legal liability or could carry a lot of legal liability for Diosdado Cabello, because these are instances that are traceable and are traceable back to him and involving individuals that have been physically close to me. Sorry. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Hybner, Walker, Mueller cluster. Okay? So this is a cluster of individuals that have done pretty serious things that I think could carry significant liability. And again, here the goal is not to my goal is not to take revenge against these individuals, not at all. In fact, I don't care if authorities let them walk away free, if they cooperate, right, and talk and explicitly detail how Diosdado got them to do these things. So Hybner is the lawyer, just for context, right? So Hybner is the lawyer, the attorney representing my former partner on the quote-unquote divorce that Diosdado decided to file to kidnap my child, right? Which he did, and the child is still captive in a property under the control of the Estado Cabello. But anyhow, so this is a legal kidnapping, right? So they kidnapped the child using the parental rights of my former partner as a weapon, right? They weaponized that. So in the process, Hybner filed a petition for a restraining order in which she alleged that I'm crazy, like that I suffer from a mental condition and I'm not able or capable of making my own decisions. And to preserve the interests of the child, I should not be allowed to transfer property or to enter into any kind of legal contract. Okay? That's what she alleged in writing to a judge in a petition. Then we had an audience with a judge, and a judge suggested mediation. And Hybner agreed to that. And not only she agreed, she did not object to that. And in the previous video, I mentioned this. I suspected that this could have been a confession, right? Like it's an admission of guilt. I thought, and I did some research on this, and I think I'm right. It seems like this is a very basic legal concept: capacity to act on your own behalf. So if she's alleging that I should not be allowed to enter into any kind of legal contract, how can she, in good conscience, agree to go to mediation, where the sole goal of the mediation is to enter into a legal contract, a legally binding contract? So this right there, it says that she knows that I'm not crazy, right? Or she's trying to take advantage of a crazy person, right? She cannot have it both ways. So it's pretty much a done deal with her, right? So that's the start of this cluster now. The way this connects to Diosdado is that when I got, and I mentioned this in another video, it's explained in more length in that video, but there was an instance on April 16, 2025, around 9 a.m., when I was working on a project. And I'll show it again here. Just 1 second. Okay. So if you go to Psychiatric.org and you click on this link at the bottom that says bosses, I was working on this list, okay, that day. It's basically, it's a long story, but it maps back to a lot of prominent agents that are in Caracas, okay? And in other cities like Beijing, Moscow, Tehran, and La Habana. But the minute I started working on this, so I started working on this like at 8:50, I believe. And this is traceable because all the requests that I did to the Maps API, the Google Maps API, this is a programmatic interface that I use to reverse map these addresses from the geo-index that I captured from Elon Musk. The minute I started doing those requests, 20 minutes later, the server showed up at my house with the papers, and he trespassed the property lines, provoked me. Like it was a whole incident, and it's documented here. So if you go to Sorry. If you go to, let me do this here. Yes, so here, right? So this man. So they dispatched this man exactly 20 minutes after I started working on that list that maps 40% of the people are in Caracas in that list. So yeah, I see causality there. They had filed those documents 9 days before, but they hadn't sent them to me. Like they were saving that weapon in case they needed it. And when they saw that I went for the addresses in Caracas, then they decided to fire that weapon. They sent this man, as you can see in the photo, he's trespassing, although there is a no trespassing sign that is clearly visible, and that they have sued me for that no trespassing sign already. So it's clearly visible, right? But he trespassed and provoked me, and it was it's all documented, right? And the timing of this kind of reinforced the idea that this is coming from just that, right? Now, the car in which he came in has no license plates or markings, and the car is here. You can see the photo, and I have more photos with more detail, but this is a photo to give an idea. You can see the car has no license plates in the back or in the front. I have the photos of the back as well. But take my word for it for now that it doesn't have any license plates. It has no markings, even no brand. You cannot see what brand, even what make of is the maker of the car. Even the rims, you know how the makers of the car in the rims in the center, usually they put the logo, right? Toyota or Kia or whatever. So this has custom rims, so it doesn't have that either, right? So there's no way to tell even what kind of car, sorry, what make of car it is. I'm sorry. I think I'm coming down with COVID, which is also strange because I haven't left the house. Anyhow, tinted windows, pitch black, right? Spy vehicle, right? Now, this is interesting because, and I mentioned this in the previous video, is because this subdivision has a single official entry in which there is a license plate reader camera recording, right? And this is a gated community with a security guard that is in this official entrance. And every vehicle that comes in is required to have a license plate because the guard is obligated to know the license plate, otherwise the car cannot come in. And this is in the posted orders of the company that manages the security guard. And I have that document, right? Saying this because it's, according to the rules, this car should have not been let into the subdivision. And I, in another video, invited law enforcement to check the cameras to see if there is a recording of this vehicle coming into the subdivision. And the reason I suggested that is because Eckhart, another person that has a house in the subdivision, which is next to Robert Mueller's house, Robert Mueller being the former FBI and CIA director, that man, Eckhart, has a secret gate on his backyard that goes outside the subdivision. If this car was not recorded in the entrance, it means that it came through that secret gate, which would tie him to Eckhart, and Eckhart is tied to Mueller because they have a secret gate as well in between the houses. So long way of saying that this process server could be tied directly both to Diosdado, Cabello, Hybner or Hybner, Eckhart, and Mueller, right? So this is a super cluster of legal liability. It's really a nuclear bomb. Now, interestingly, what happened was after this incident happened right away, I called 911. And this should be recorded in the 911 logs and recordings. And a deputy with the name Walker, batch number 4097, was dispatched. And this is interesting and important because usually when these kind of things, I think legally speaking, the penalties are more severe when they involve a police officer committing a crime. So this could potentially, right? If this police officer is really in this network and this is demonstrable, it could provide legal ammunition to flip that officer to talk, to say exactly how he was recruited and how much he was paid and all that. And to tie this back to Diosdado, which is my end goal. So this officer, Walker, is also documented in this page. By the way, this page is XisList.org/evidence. Everything is in there, okay? So if you look for Walker in this page, you will see the documentation, and you will see that the report number that he wrote down, not report, like the incident number, he did not file a police report. He refused to file a police report. I was basically calling to report that this man trespassed because I have the pictures of the man trespassing inside my property lines. I have the pictures of the incident, the videos of what he said and the way he provoked me, being inside of my own property. But the officer refused to file a police report, of course, because he's part of the network, right? The vehicle that the officer was driving had a license plate number 1465628. And that car, the license plate, had something on top that blocked the infrared light of my cameras. So to obscure the license plate from view of the camera. And this is a well-known technique this network uses because they know that I have all these cameras and I have this technology to cluster the vehicles together. So they obscure the cameras either with a film or with a foam that blocks the infrared light. And this officer parked the car. First, he parked the car inside of the property lines. He trespassed as well, like he ignored the sign. I told him, hey, please, could you, very politely, could you please park the vehicle outside of the property lines? And then he made this face like I'm crazy, like for asserting my right to private property. But he moved the car and he put it outside, but he put it in front of the camera. And I can see like at 15 feet away from the camera. And this is a very powerful camera, right? You can see 200 feet away. But even at 15 feet, it could not see the license plate because it had this foam. I didn't test the license plate, but it's the only explanation, like this high-end camera that can see 200 feet away, but cannot see this license plate, only this license plate 15 feet away, because it had something to block the infrared lights. So that's Deputy Walker. And of course, all these things like the refusal to file a police report in a defiant way. He was basically, his attitude, right? Like he was also a little bit provoking me in a way. And the license plate being obscured with something to block the infrared light. And the fact that he refused to file the report and he also trespassed the property lines, right? It's too many things. I would say that he's in it. And again, the incident number he wrote was P as in Papa 251060460. Again, that it's Papa 251060460. And his license plate number was the Deputy Walker's vehicle's license plate was 146-5628. I noted it by hand, like I made a voice note to remember the number because I suspected that it would be blocked because this happened with another police officer before with Officer Gloria. So I was kind of foreseeing that it could be the case that he would block his license plate with the phone. So I made a voice note and that's how I got the license plate. Okay, all this is important because besides of the fact that this car, if it did enter through the secret gate of Eckhart, which would tie him to Mueller, besides that side of this powerful cluster, there's another side to this. And it's that this man that trespassed, here's the photo, this man and the trespassing incident programmatically by my system was co-clustered with another trespassing incident that happened before when a law firm by the name Roberts, Markell, Weinberg, Butler, Hiley, PC served me with a letter to basically threatening me with legal action, okay, for HOA issues. And this incident is well documented in the website as well. And I'm going to show you. Just 1 second. So this other incident. So this man wearing the blue t-shirt, and you can see there's a lot of things like the way he covered his legs with this weird leggings, the baseball cap, the oversized glasses, the long beard, like all these things that would obstruct facial or body features co-clustering. It's deliberate, right? So anyhow, this incident, which came from Roberts, Markell, Weinberg, Butler, Hiley, PC, in writing, letter he's carrying, which the envelope can be seen here, right? came from that law firm, okay, which is marked in the index, in the geo index of Elon Musk, and also notably falls. So the address is on a street or a tower called Williams Tower. And Williams is a very important prominence marker in their system. Like, it's a marker of prominence, right? So it's not only, this law firm is not only prominence, score-wise, they also have the prominence name marker, which is a big deal in this level. Like, these agents that have these, or entities that have these markers are a big deal. So anyhow, this man that is trespassing was co-cluster. And this is a long chain, and I apologize for that, but we follow the chain, you will see how powerful this particular weapon is, right? This cluster as a weapon, as a legal weapon against Diosdado Cabello. So this man over here was co-clustered by my facial recognition system with another man, it's probably the same man, that attempted or tampered with my medication at a Kroger pharmacy in 2024, like many months ago. And the idea of tampering with my medication in that, and before I say that, and this man and the Kroger pharmacy man, both of them, if they're not the same, but I believe they're the same and the system believes it's the same person, they were tied with the CIA tag. So the system, in a way, is telling me that this person is a CIA operative working for Diosdado Cabello, which is a pretty serious deal. It's a federal agent. I think the CIA falls under the federal apparatus, working directly for a foreign military officer to harm an American citizen. I think there's only a few things that would carry more legal liability than that, right? So he was co-clustered with, his time with CIA and co-clustered with the Kroger pharmacy incident. Now, the Kroger pharmacy incident is interesting because of the mechanism they choose to try to harm, right? They switched the medication. So I was taking a medication that was prescribed by Marjorie Broussard, the doctor, my primary care doctor from Kelsey Civil. Now, I have to say, Marjorie Broussard ordered some blood tests for me during 2024, and the results that came from that blood test was that my blood was thick, was thicker than normal, my blood, which is a sign of dehydration, okay? Like, I had not enough water in my body. That's what it means. And I believe this is because of the medication that she had put me on, which was, I'm going to give I'm not going to enter into much details about the medication, but I'm going to give the prescription number because I think authorities could track. Like, so one prescription was RX 2039594, and the other one is RX 2039323. Okay, these are two prescriptions that were filled at Kroger Pharmacy of this particular medication. Dr. Broussard, Marjorie Broussard, put me on. Now, this medication has a side effect, which is suppression of thirst a little bit. Like, you tend to drink less water when you take this medication. It's not like you don't drink water, but you tend to drink less water, and it's a known side effect, okay? So, and this is very important. When she saw, around the time that she saw that my blood was thick or thicker than normal, meaning I had symptoms of dehydration, she increased the dosage of that medication, which I think by a factor of 4 times. I think that's telling, right? Any doctor should know the side effects of that medication. And if you're seeing your patient is dehydrated or showing serious sign of dehydration to the point that his blood is thicker than normal, how are you going to increase the dosage by a factor of 4 times? That's what she did. Anyhow, but that wasn't apparently killing me fast enough. So they switched the medication, and they switch it for something. And I have even samples of what they switch it for, and I'll give that to authorities. But they switch it for something that, first of all, is not the medication. I know it's not the medication. And secondly, it not only suppresses thirst, but it produces an aversion towards water. Like, I could not see water. When I was taking that medication, if I tasted water, I would want to throw up. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's something that doesn't let you drink any water. At the same time, I was running with Penelope Suarez, and this brings Penelope Suarez into this cluster. And while we were running, she was always carrying the water, right? We were running together and I did not carry any water with me. And she was the one carrying the water. And this was proposed by Penelope. And the reasoning behind this was because I have this nerve injury on my back. Covering the water with a belt for water, for hydration, causes additional pressure on the spine, right? If you're running 20 miles, or 20 kilometers or whatever, with this thing attached to your waist, and you're running, causing this impact on your spine all the time, it could aggravate the injury. She rationalized that she should be the one carrying the water, and I agreed. But I started noticing that every time we were running, she would always give me the water and the water it wasn't like plain water, it was like water with electrolytes. So it had some flavor to it, right? So if there was something in the water, I could not distinguish it because it had flavor. And I noticed that when we were running, that she would always give me she would pass me a bottle of water at some points to drink something, but she would always pass me the same bottle. And this is what tipped me off, right? It was very consistent. Like she would always drink from her bottle, and she would always give me the water from the other bottle. And there was one instance in which, by mistake, I kept the bottle with me, and she left. And she turned around and came back to pick up the bottle. Like it seemed like it was very important that I did not kept that bottle. So all these little things. And the other thing is that, of course, this is probably the first thing I should mention, is that when we were running, right, and I drank that water that she gave me, I felt within 10 minutes an immense urge to pee, to urinate. And it was something like, and remember, I wasn't drinking any water because I was taking this switch medication that they gave me that basically caused aversion to drinking water. And I didn't understand it back then, because this was like after I captured the geo index, basically. They, I think, got desperate and they wanted to kill me because I had this database with all their financial transactions of crypto in them. So their solution was to kill me, like putting two and two together, right? If they're giving me if my blood is thick to begin with, right? Marjorie Broussard increased my dosage of that medication that I was really taking, right, by a factor of 4 times, and they had me on that high dosage for months. So my blood naturally would be thicker than when I took the blood test. Then they switched me to this medication. They tamper with the medication, right? It's not they switch, like they tamper with the medication using this man that it's in this image at the Kroger pharmacy. And the employees of the Kroger pharmacy, like they were in it, like he was there to give the signal to switch the medication, right? And this medication caused me to not drink any water for weeks, right? And then on top of that, Katy's Valentina Olmo, the running coach that Penelope Suarez and I were employing, had me on this plan of running 50 miles per week, okay? Or 50 kilometers per week, sorry. And at the same time, Penelope was giving me a diuretic. Like what was in the water was a diuretic to make me pee the little water that I had left in my body. And at the same time, when I was running 15, 20 kilometers. So this is a recipe for a heart attack. This is what this is. And so it's a very serious, I think, legally speaking, it's a very serious charge if it's pressed. And I think it could make all these people talk because it's attempted murder, basically. And the doctor has to be in it, because how did they know that my blood was thick to begin with? That I had this serious symptom of dehydration that they could exploit to make it look like it was a natural death, an unfortunate death due to not drinking water, because many different reasons. But that wasn't the truth. It was a design scenario, right? So anyhow, that man is the cluster. And again, I think more important than the crime is the chain of connection, right? Like you can see how the server that Diosdado Cabello dispatched, which is the direct link to Diosdado Cabello, I think, and Hybner, right? The lawyer that is still using the parental rights of my former partner to keep my child hostage for months. they're both connectable, legally speaking, to Diosdado Cabello. And then, notably, this man, the same Kroger pharmacy man, according to the system, also was co-clustered with this man. And this was a man that was following me to Walmart when I was attempting to buy food. Because, of course, they want now to poison the food that I eat. And here's the license plate, and I have pictures of the man from different angles. He's also co-clustered with the same Kroger pharmacy man. And he's also co-clustered with the man that came to deliver the letter from that law firm, Roberts, Markel, Wilbur, Butley, Haley, PC, which is marked in the index and have an office in the Williams Tower in Houston, which is a very high-end tower. And then when they decided to backpedal, then they sued me for $3,000. These people don't get up in the morning for $3,000. It's obviously they're backpedaling. It's obvious that they're backpedaling. Just to close the loop on this, right? If you follow this arc, you can see this cluster, this expansive cluster that spans different incidents from kidnapping of a child to attempted murder. And it involves all these series of individuals that carry liability, that could talk and implicate each other and Diosdado Cabello. I think it's really a nuclear weapon. Just for completeness, the Kroger pharmacy where these incidents happen, the medication switching, is the one located at 25050 FM 1093, Richmond, Texas, 77486. The phone number is 832-256-7376. And one of the times that I picked the medication was on, let me look for the time, 09/22/2024. So this was 9 days after I captured Elon Musk's Geo Index. And the other instance that I have here was on 8/21/2024. Yes. So those are the two instances where I believe they tampered with the medication. In one instance, the attendant was an Asian woman. She was covering her face with a COVID mask, although she was inside of the drive-thru. She might as well hang a sign and say, I'm working for the other team. And the other time, it was a man. He looked Hispanic, but his name tag from Kroger said a name that sounded a lot like my former manager at Google's name. My manager's name was Kyle Schultz, and the attendant's name was a longer last name, but ended with Schultz. Just to give a reference. I don't know if that's the real name or if they just made the name tag to make it look that way, but it could be, right? Okay, so that's the arc, right? But I think an important player in this is Dr. Broussard, Marjorie Broussard, who is Venezuelan, by the way. Don't get tricked by the French last name. She is Venezuelan. And she has done a lot of other things, even more serious than this, I think, than passing information to this ex-CIA or CIA operative to harm me. But notably, Dr. Broussard is also connected to another cluster that brings a lot of liability to Diosdado Cabello. And that cluster includes Antero Sanchez, Penelope Suarez, Dr. William E. Lane, the one that injected my spine. And there's a mysterious woman that I only know as Miss Maria. And I'll make another video about this to concentrate specifically on Dr. Broussard because she's a key player in this and she carries a lot of legal liability because of her profession, the oath that she took to protect patients, and the fact that she's here in the US and she was my primary care doctor. The person that referred to me or that talked me into being a patient of Dr. Broussard was my former partner. That's also very interesting. But I'll talk more about that in a separate video. Okay, I'll close this one for now. I'll post it before I edit it because the editing is taking me more time than recording the videos. So I'll record the videos and then I will edit them to add the captions and all that. My goal with adding the transcript is to make it easier for law enforcement and prosecutors to process this information. If the transcript is already produced and I do multiple passes to make sure it's perfect or almost perfect, that will save time and resources of prosecutors, and hopefully it will shorten the timeline, which is also my objective because I want to recover my child. Like, it's been 3 months and I want to bring this to a conclusion fast. That's my goal. Thank you so much for listening, and till the next one. Thank you.